This is not going to help me be successful. I can't be this thing. None of us escape suffering. I'll do anything to be successful and help this team win. I will clean the toilets. I'll pick up the phone. The game isn't over until I've won.
Welcome to the Masters of Business podcast with Daniel Beer.
Get ready for a sales masterclass. This is Masters of Business. I'm with Shayla Gifford, who is at Guild Mortgage, 21,000, more than 21,000 funded loans just funded loans, a loan officer, for God's sake. Shayla, I have to think most loan officers fund like 20 a year, maybe? 21,000 funded loans, or 4 years in a row with more than $1 billion funded. Just a monster. And so welcome to the podcast. This is Masters of Business, and we're looking forward to everything you have to share, because whether it's someone in the real estate space, the mortgage space, a chiropractor, dentist, a shopkeeper, you name it. We have people from all walks of life, all different businesses listening in. And what you have is, I believe, universal.
Thank you.
So what's your superpower? And how'd you get it?
I think my superpower is really seeing people for who they are and catching the undertone of what they want and what they're motivated by. Also kind of the sense of like what's getting in the way. So I really can see people's brilliance pretty clearly. You'll have to tell me, because you and I met at a happy hour and there was like 150 people there, and we just met and then didn't leave. I think we talked for like an hour and just had this immediate connection. So you tell me what that experience was like. But I think where that comes from, Dan, is a deep desire in me to want to be seen and understood. Also a desire to want to be chosen. I don't think ever in my life I was naturally talented at anything. I think that I was a girl in a family surrounded by boys. I felt like I needed to be a boy, keep up with the boys, stuff my feelings, figure out how to adapt to whatever situation I was in. And I deeply wanted to feel chosen, and oftentimes didn't feel that way. And so I think I quickly decided, well, who do I need to be in order to be valuable? Or who do I need to be in order to be picked? And so I think in that desire of knowing that I wanted to experience that, that's what I've chosen to go out and do my whole life, is to really try to see people and understand them and what drives them, and then ultimately help them figure out how to unlock themselves. Because I've always wanted to see people at their truest, highest potential. And it just like aggravates me to see when people are playing small or withholding or, not just like freaking living out loud and going for it.
So that's an awesome answer. And I think, depending on how deep you want to go with it, I can't help but think when it really stood out to me when you said you just want to be chosen. And what's rooted in that? Like, where does that come from?
So it helps that I just came off of a 7-day meditation retreat, and I did neurofeedback and spent multiple days in forgiveness protocols because I've done a lot of work. I'm ready, baby. I think the earliest desire for me is wanting to be daddy's little girl. And my parents were super young. They were like 21, 22 when they had me. So we grew up together, and they were both self-employed. They didn't have a college degree. So like, they were in go mode. They were in survival mode. They were in build mode. And me and my youngest version of myself, being a total emotional being and not having a conscious mind, didn't really feel important, or that my needs or feelings were cared for, really. Like, it was kind of like, be independent, get in the game, pull your shit together. We're charging forward. We're going to go into the battle of life. And all of my siblings, we all turned out to be very driven, focused, motivated people, because that was kind of the culture of our family. But I don't really feel like I got to just play or be girly or be cared for. And so I think in this personal exploration I've done around this, the word that I wanted was to be cherished. to be made the most important thing. And I didn't get that. And so it was kind of in that rejection or disappointment that I found my drive.
That's awesome. It's amazing how that happens, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
it's a really one of these. You've kind of unexpectedly brought the conversation to a classic example of the thing happens in your life, the event, it's trauma. It's not trauma like, the neighbor came over and did something horrible to you type of trauma, but it is still trauma. And and then you react to it by actually using it to build, to like propel you to, like it gives you everything that you've built, while somebody else might very easily with the same identical event go, into a shell of themselves or fall to depression and just like, I'm not good enough. And like, like literally just go the exact opposite way of what you've been able to accomplish from the same identical event. And it's always fascinating how that happens. I mean, just fascinating. Tony Robbins, I heard him tell a story about how someone's in the foxhole in a war. I don't know what war he's talking about. And, suddenly his best friend right in front of him just like shatters in 100 pieces, splatters on him from an incoming shell, and just horrific scene. And how it happens to two different people in that same war, that same battle. And I'm not even sure if it was a true story or not, but I'm just going to assume it was true because it was for sure true. It's for sure true, whether he knows who it was true for or not. And how for one of them, they respond with, man, like life's short. I need to love everybody. I need to lean in. I'm going to just put my arms around all my relationships, like just really cherish every moment, live every moment, be in the moment. And the other one responds with, I can't ever get close to anybody. I, stay away. Like I'm fearful to love you because if I do, I might lose you. And right, like just really incredibly different life paths from the same event. So it's just really always very interesting.
Well, the truth is that none of us escape suffering. So as much as we could say that I've used my dysfunction and I've channeled it to figure out how to build a massive business and a successful life and a healthy body and a great marriage and loving relationships, which I have, I continue to channel that drive in that way. It still has me suffering, right? There's still always two sides to the coin. And, some people would call that your shadow or the basement to your strength. And one of the reasons I've been exploring this stuff deeply right now is because, somebody asked me the best question the other day. She goes, Shayla, please tell me, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. When you got a certain money in the bank or you hit a certain level, was it easier to do the work that you're doing? Meaning living in joy, being present, letting stuff roll off my back, not taking things so personally, not feeling like you've got stress up to your eyeballs every second. And I said, I think it was two things, because when I first got coached at 29 years old, and somebody put a form in front of me and said, okay, figure out how much money it's going to take for you to have enough passive income, or buy enough rental properties or get your business to enough level to where you can breathe, to where you could kind of live on it. And at the time, my income needs, and granted, this is pre-kids and pre-horses and pre all the shit they're into, it was like $4 million. That's what I needed, right? And so I singularly laser focused on getting to $4 million, because ultimately what my soul craves is stability. It's love and stability. And I think that my parents being entrepreneurial, we in many ways felt like very abundant. They built a custom home and I lived in a nice big house, but then all of a sudden the house would go on the market and then the house would come off the market. And the house, it was kind of like, are we good or are we not good? And so for me, having the money, having the love and adoration, being in control of my success and being in control of people choosing me because I'm, indisputably valuable at all times is my version of finding safety and stability. And so I assumed that once I got to 4 million bucks in the bank, I could breathe a little and I could start working on some of these isms that I have that keep me suffering and under pressure all the time and constantly achieving and never satisfied and all that shit. And I got to 4 million. Of course, my lifestyle had expanded and I was like, maybe it needs to be 6. So I went back on the treadmill, and then once I got to like 10, then I'm like looking myself in the mirror, like, come on, like there's no excuse now. Like, when are you gonna learn to have this transformation and be able to chill? And so I've done wild things. I moved my whole family to Spain. We lived abroad for 3 years. I've done all kinds of different exploratory inner child work and leadership programming and all kinds of stuff to try to figure out how to continue evolving in my being. So I guess the answer to the question, I could pose it to you, Dan, is that I don't think we ever arrive. And I know I'm working just as hard today, and my net worth is 10 times what I thought it needed to be. And I'm still driving and I'm still pushing and I'm still fired up. I'm trying to control that little psyche in my head that is telling me, no, you're only as good as your performance today. Drive harder, take on more
Right.
goals. I'm still trying to, I've named her, Dan. Her name is Pat. I'm like, Pat is a bitch. She just whips me hard. I'm like, go sit in the corner, Pat. Like, we're fine.
And do you think you're unique in having Pat
No,
alongside you in your ride, or do you think a lot of our listeners likely are facing, everyone's in a different part of their journey, entrepreneurial and life journey, but probably it's something that when you reach a level of success, most people have to fight this demon at some point.
well, I think the demon's there. What I said to my girlfriend who asked the question is, yes, in theory, if you are not scratching and clawing to pay your bills, you do have less stress, but stress is always there. It just becomes your relationship with, can you dance with it? Can you do the tango with it? Can you reposition it? Because it's the same thing about being in the foxhole. It's your story about the stress. Is it I have to or I get to? Is it this has to be done, it's never good enough? Or is it I want it to be better? It doesn't have to, but I want it to. And that's why I'm still going to keep my intensity, but I'm also going to be able to laugh at myself, and I'm going to be able to have freaking fun and push and drive and all those things and be dynamic. But I think we all have, this inner Pat, and it's our ego. It is that little warrior inside of us that keeps us on our toes and keeps us on edge and keeps replaying that trauma, really. Like, you're not pretty enough. Dan, nobody really likes you. They only like you because you're giving them stuff. They only like you because you're making them money right now. They only like you because, you were nice to them today. But if you don't stay on your game tomorrow, or that critical voice of, well, you missed that one. You did good over here, but you missed that. You missed that. You missed that. That perfectionist voice. So, and again, like, hopefully we can channel that to continue to guide us to do good things for other people, to continue to lean in, to be our best, to be generous, and to make good choices that align with a vision that matters and a meaningful life that matters. But it still sucks having that inner voice that is pounding on us. And I don't think it ever goes away. I think it's maturity and its evolution to work how to deal with it.
I mean, it's such an important conversation because people are tuning into, hey, how can I grow my business? That's why someone tunes into this podcast. And yet, if you don't have, self-awareness is something that is, I think, a required superpower for anyone who's going to achieve at a very high level. And that inner work and just, like, if you don't grow yourself to a certain, you are going to find a ceiling. And I have a similar experience very recently. I didn't expect this to be the forum in which I would share it, but it's, I've been doing a bunch of work myself. I'm actually heading off to a week in Costa Rica tomorrow.
Sweet.
And I'm going on my own by myself. I'm going to go on a very personal journey. And but something that's come up very recently I hadn't seen a therapist, like a one-on-one personal therapist, since, I don't know, probably 20 plus years. And something made me go and do it. And what I realized was, over the course of the last few years, I've noticed, Shayla, how it's become increasingly difficult for me to make really like not big deal decisions, such as, hey, I'm going to buy a television, and you go to you go to Best Buy to buy a 70-inch television. Well, you get there, that's all you really wanted. There it is. But then I get into this crazy thing of like, well, that one's 70 inches, but has a 1500 megahertz, whatever that means. I don't even know what it means, right? It was unimportant to me 9 minutes ago. But it has, by the way, I don't know if 1500 is a good megahertz or bad. It's not the point. I'm just throwing out a number. But it has 1500 megahertz, but that one's 72 inches. So I could gain 2 inches, but I only lose 200 megahertz because it's 1200. So would that be a good trade-off or not? Not sure. But what about the weight? That now it protrudes from the wall an extra inch than the other one. So I think that the optimal decision would be like that. That's exhausting for buying a TV. And so what I came to realize is like my childhood, like stuff, I think my main thing is I was a troublemaker. Okay. I was from day one, troublemaker, fuck up kid, always in trouble, go to the, teacher's mad, go outside, go see the principal. So that's like, I don't have the like big event, where the neighbor comes over and does some awful thing. But what I do have is 12 years, or basically really about almost 14 years until high school, of just like being that kid, which leads to people talking to you a certain way.
Yeah.
You're always bad. You're this, you're in trouble. Like, and no one was calling me stupid, but embedded in all that is like a basic, like, dude, what are you, stupid? You can't sit still? Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
And so I get to high school after 14 years of that, and I start doing well. I start doing well and better and better and better. I'm behaving well, and things are good. And so the labels start changing from all those bad labels to, oh, like maybe he's not so bad. Oh, maybe he's a little bit smart. Oh, maybe he's kind of smart. Oh, yeah, I think he's smart. Wait, he is. He's really smart. And suddenly I start buying into this idea that I'm smart. And I use that really to propel me. Like you said, like I like turn this thing into fuel. Like I want to prove to my community, to my parents. My parents, by the way, were always like the only ones not name calling me, but I wanted to prove to them that they had done right by standing by me.
Yeah.
I want to prove. And so anyway, it propels me, and I start doing great, and all the way for years, for a couple of decades, just better, until, what I started realizing recently, Shayla, is that it started to become not just a tool to be quote unquote smart. And I don't know, look, I don't know if I'm like clinically smart, not clinically. I think I am, by the way, smart, but I'm smart because I believed it and I have confidence, and that helps, right?
Yep.
So it gets to the point though where instead of it being a tool, it turns into all of my self-image, where my entire self-image is I'm smart. Well, if that's what I am, then holy shit, I better make every decision right.
Perfectly.
Because if I even buy the wrong TV, maybe I won't be smart anymore, and the whole thing will break down, and then like all those naysayers from way back will say, see, we always knew you weren't the right, like we always knew it. You were just faking it for 30 years acting well, right? Like, and so it first started manifesting in these small little ways, like buying TVs. But it started to become more and more and seep into all parts of my life, and the decision making, and just all aspects. And now I'm tearing that back, and because now I have the awareness, and so it's important work. And my business, let me tell you something. Let's come back. My business wouldn't grow if I don't do that work. Period. It would die.
Yep. Yep.
So
because here's the deal: when you are broke, you don't have time to explore this stuff. Is the truth. Your back's against the wall. You've got to just muster up whatever assets you've got within you, whatever strengths you got within you, and you just got to go out and freaking make it happen. So there's something about this success paradox that once you have this room to breathe a little bit, and sometimes you become, and Dan, I could say it for both you and I, we're both knuckleheads. Like the success I have, it was a lot of it was really good timing and utilizing and wringing the drops out of every strength that I got So it was hard work, it was luck, it was market timing, it was all those things coming together. And there's definitely some imposter syndrome happening. And like, oh my gosh, there's all these people now relying on me, or there's all these people looking at me. And especially when the market changes and all the things that we've been doing for so long are no longer working, quote unquote, the same. And then you've got eyeballs looking at us, and we want to be great for people. And so 100%, my insecurity, kicked in big time. I mean, every bit of my instableness of my being came out the last 2 years in the real estate mortgage world, because my business went from 1.6 billion down to 400 million. It dropped 75%. I had to lay off 65 people that had put their blood, sweat, and tears and their family on the line and chose me. They chose me and trusted me and looked at you as a smart leader that could guide them to the promised land and take care of them. And then we're having to turn around and let them down. And I'm really been playing with insecurity as like a shadow quality of saying, like, I would normally be in denial that I'm like an insecure person, because when I feel fear, I just like take action. But the truth is, I'm actually wildly insecure, because we are all things. So you can be insecure and secure. You can be greedy and you can be generous. And you can be weak and vulnerable and emotional, and you can be strong and impervious and under control. And the minute that we start actually embracing all parts of ourselves is when you're actually using your entire genius. It's when you're bringing your whole self to the party, instead of like going, oh no, I'm not that guy, and shoving that stuff away and faking it, really, and putting on an act and a performance until finally that performance is so fucking tiring, because it's like, it's just tiring. Like, I don't know. Why can't I just say, I don't know, someone tell me what TV to buy? I don't want to make the decision. Right?
So the shadow, you mentioned the shadow a couple times.
Yeah.
How would you, I understand it. How would you summarize that for the listener if they're unfamiliar? I think you'd like to explain it better than me, because
yeah. So a shadow quality is a quality that we have disowned. It's a quality that somewhere along the line, growing up or as a child, we said, this does not serve me. This is not going to get me liked. This is not going to help me be successful. I can't be this thing. Okay. For a lot of people, they relate to the word lazy. You know, most of our parents pounded us that you can't be lazy. You got to, pull it together. The way you find out what these disowned qualities are, the parts of us that we've cut off, is you typically pay attention to who triggers you. So, those people just freak you out or piss you off or whatever. And when you have that person in your head, like, this person drives me nuts, then look at their behavior. What are they doing? So if lazy was one of those things, you're like, man, every time I see this guy, he's like sitting on the couch. Like, every time I come to the office, he's chitting-chatting at the water cooler. Like, that dude is the laziest dude ever. Freaks me out. Then you start pointing the light back on yourself and saying, okay, well, if we are all things, if we are all characteristics, then how am I lazy? Because, like, certainly I am. There's areas where I am. And in what way could actually reclaiming this quality be a gift? And so for me with lazy, I used to say, if you call me greedy or lazy, I will go apeshit. Like, those are two things I am not, especially in business. I will clean the toilets. I have no ego. I'll pick up the phone. I'll do anything to be successful and help this team win. So if you call me lazy, it would just destroy me. Well, anything that you think will destroy you, that's the ego trying to really hard to hold that back. And what I realized, Dan, was when I go home at night after over pushing myself to exhaustion, and all of a sudden the kids are screaming or they want something, I'm the last person to get up to go handle that issue. If there was like a group of us, if we were there with your kids and my kids and your wife and me and Galen were sitting all on the couch together and the kids started getting a fuss, I'd be the last person to activate and go deal with it. So I actually am very lazy. It's just in different circumstances. But where laziness can be a gift, just like insecurity can be a gift, weakness can be a gift, neediness, being stupid. how awesome. Being stupid can be a gift. Like, I would like to be stupid on politics. I would like to be stupid on, like I'm on drama, on A-list celebrities. So I'll call me
Yeah.
stupid. I don't need it, But laziness actually helps me rest. And if I didn't have laziness as part of my being, I might just burn up in flames. And so there is a gift inherent to every quality, because actually nothing is truly good or bad. We just label it that way.
So if y'all want a book, the book that introduced me to this is called The Shadow Effect.
Ooh.
And it's actually written in 3 different parts: Deepak Chopra, Debbie Ford, Marianne Williamson. And I actually have only read the Marianne Williamson portion of it, as that's what was recommended to me. But it is really interesting. And looking back, like, first of all, thank you for that explanation, because that's probably the best explanation I've ever heard. And it's so true, right? Like, if I look back, it's actually been a few years since I read that book that I understood that I was just allergic to unintelligent people. Like, I couldn't stand them, hate them, get them away from me. I don't want to be in the same room as them. And I knew that was not great on my end, but I was like, I didn't understand deeper than that. Like, and I knew that was my shadow, actually, because like the book suggested that, basically, but I didn't really know what to do with it, why, where did it come from, and then just understanding all that is pretty huge.
Yeah,
And
and I think
go ahead.
I think the goal is to eventually, when you reclaim these qualities, all of a sudden you gain more grace and compassion for yourself and others. And you're no longer triggerable, which, like, the ultimate the ultimate flex is peace of mind. No matter what's going on with the business, no matter if no matter what's going on with our kids, no matter what's going on with the economy or the presidential election or our business or anything, like, we are not triggerable. So you run into those people and they just don't have an effect on you anymore because you've done the work.
It's an awesome quote. The ultimate flex is peace of mind. All right. So people do want to know how'd you build, to do what you've done, 21,000 plus loans. I just go back to, like, you didn't set out to do 21,000 plus loans. No one does.
No.
What you set out, like, there must have been, how'd you start to build it, right? When you're just like, I need to get a loan. Oh, wow, I can now get 2 loans. I think I can get 4. Like, what were those business blocks that you started putting together? I'm curious about that. And simultaneously, why can a result like the one you have be available while so few actually get it?
You're right. I never set out to do that. I think the secret to massive success is 2 things. Number 1, be exceptionally good at what you do. Like, become masterful. Don't shoot to become like a 9 out of 10. Shoot to be an 11 out of 10. So if you're a listing agent, become the best damn listing agent there is in every single component of it. Just drive for that exceptional mastery in your craft and what you do. And then second, be exceedingly, annoyingly, surprisingly, shockingly happy while you do it. And those people that love what they do, that are happy people, it is so attractive. You want to be around that you just feel better being with those people. And if you're damn good at what you do, that's just the part of being undeniable. You become the undeniable choice eventually. Dan, you and I both love to play to win. And I think you got to have the attitude of, like, the game isn't over until I've won. So it's not looking at every situation as, can I win right now? It's like, I'm here for the war. Like, when you and I met, you were actually at the 1 yard line of changing your mortgage situation. I was like, I really like you. Like, in an hour, I was like, wow, you're different. I would love to be on the phone with you. I'd love to strategize with you. I'd love to go build with you. But I'm not looking at it like a win or a loss in the next month. Like, things are a lifetime. And I think this is where people lose their stability quickly, is they're in a meeting and their whole time going, did they like me? Am I going to get the deal? Am I signing the contract? Is this going to work? And they're so in the moment versus just trusting in doing the right thing for people, being exceptional in your process, and knowing that the results are going to come. And you don't exactly know where or how the results are going to come, but they just come. And I think that power comes from being engaged and really caring about the other person, and then making promises and keeping promises, pure and simple. Like, that's it. And I don't know, the thing that unlocked for me personally and in my production is that I needed to start trusting people. I was an exceptional technician, but I was a party of one for 6 years, and I had plateaued. There was nowhere more I could grow. You know, I had a big ego. Nobody could do it like me. And if it was going to be, it was up to me, and I had to work hard, and all those things that I thought the client wouldn't be okay with me passing somebody off. The client wouldn't be okay with that. Really, that was an excuse for me to say, I really don't trust anybody to do it like I do it. So that changed when I started believing in time blocks and saying, okay, I'm going to do nothing else but prospect or make phone calls for 2 hours. I'm going to grab a list. I'm going to go sit in my car, and I'm going to just dial. I'm not going to get on email. I'm not going to multitask. I'm not doing anything else. And I'm going to trust that if I do that every single Monday for 2 hours, and I book 3 appointments out of that, and I show up to the appointments, and I give my person every bit of my open heart and energy and curiosity, and I care, and I'm honest. And if you got a problem that needs solved and I could solve it, I make an offer to you or give you a proposal. You say yes, you say no, whatever. Like, I just started trusting in the plan and trusting in the effort. And all of a sudden, my results went from 28 million in volume to 40 to 80 to 96 to 130. And those couple things clicked into place. And I immediately said, I've got to help other people do this. Because if I'm the same chick that was stuck and couldn't get growth, and all of a sudden a couple mindset shifts, a couple changes in my schedule, a couple strategy tweaks, a couple different scripts, like, not a lot. We're talking about, the stuff that you teach every Monday on Fast Forward. All of a sudden it was like, oh, I got to do it. And you know what? People were just dumb enough to believe me. So I had loan officers who were like, well, if she can do it, I could do it. And every year I had 3 or 4 more loan officers join me. And that's how I went from just a solo person. I joined Guild in 2009 as just one person, no team, to 8 years later at $1 billion team. And we did that with about 30 LOs. Now, we did $1 billion last year in 2024 with 74 loan officers. So the dynamics of the game have changed. But again, the game's not over until I've won. So you just stay in the game and you figure out how to adapt. And
that is so awesome.
The secret.
That's really, really awesome. And the one thing, Shayla, that you have to do for giving us one of the most meaningful episodes that we've had. I mean, guys, you cannot build the business side without building the personal side. And so however, I'm going to call on you to come back, and we'll do it soon. We'll do it maybe a couple months out or something like that. But there's so much. I mean, you are a sales expert. You are one of the best sales people I know. I promised them a sales masterclass. So glad we didn't get it today, by the way, because we got something that's far more valuable that you could actually build on. In that no sales masterclass, I mean, without solving those parts of ourselves, all the other stuff have just have an unfortunate ceiling on them. It's an artificial ceiling, though. That's the good news. So, guys, make sure you get connected with Shayla. I think her Instagram handle might be @ShayGiff, Shayla Gifford. She's over at Guild Mortgage, and just really an awesome human being, aside from being a great business person, as you can tell. So, Shayla, I think it's just so beautiful and so well packaged up right there that we are going to leave the audience on that note. This is Masters of Business, and I am so thankful that we ended up down this path with you right here today. As you could tell, I got carried away with it myself and just thank you for letting me even tell my story, which that's the first time not that there's anything terribly wild in what I shared, but that's the first time I've shared that in any kind of public forum. And that's a gift you have as well, by the way. So I think you have a way of getting people to open up, but the reason why is you do it yourself. You step in the fire first, or you take the cold plunge, and everyone's like, all right, well, I guess I have to too. So it's a really great example of just leading, right? Leading from the front, leading vulnerably, and that's what they mean when they're talking about vulnerabilities. I mean, you'd have to sit around crying and doing it. Like, you can, by the way, but it doesn't mean that's what that's what it means. It just means that you saw a great example today of someone who shows up authentically. And so long as their service makes sense, people are going to want to do business with her. Guys, this is Masters with Business. Shayla, thank you. We're out.
Thank you, Dan Bear.